Wink News begins with breaking news.
And breaking off the top at noon, Wink News just learned the Punta Gorda police chief is now on administrative leave with pay. Just yesterday, the state attorney's office made a bombshell announcement. Chief Tom Lewis and Officer Lee Coel both now face criminal charges in the fatal shooting of a woman during a training exercise last August. Now, in just the past 2 hours, the city manager held a news conference and defended Chief Lewis.
He said the chief is a fine man and the police department is high quality. The shooting made national headlines. A loaded gun went off during a role-play demonstration, killing 73-year-old Mary Knowlton. Wink News reporter Nicole Valdez is live in Punta Gorda. Nicole, what else did the city manager say today?
It was a tough call, but it had to be done. That's exactly how City Manager Howard Koenig describes making the decision to put Chief Tom Lewis on administrative leave. But his future as a top cop is still up in the air. Koenig saying he won't be making any final decisions until he reviews the full report from FDLE. Now, today, Koenig refused to comment on the charges filed against either officer, but he announced Officer Coel will have a disciplinary hearing before city leaders next week to determine if he stays on the force. Now, the main focus of this morning's meeting was on Chief Lewis and his status. Koenig admitting he knows Lewis personally, calling him an honorable man. He's always had the best interest of the community at heart, and if you disagree with him, quote, you just don't know him. He says the department took some hits after the death of Mary Knowlton, but they do plan on launching a full internal investigation.
We are twined at the hip. We are a team, just like all the other departments in the city. So the actions taken by our police department are something that positive, many positive, and if there's mistakes that are made, they reflect on our organization as a whole, including me.
Now, while the charges have already been filed, many members of the community are still questioning whether Chief Lewis shares responsibility for Knowlton's death. We spoke to one woman today who sat right outside City Hall supporting Chief Lewis, saying she does not believe he should be held responsible even with the charges.
This is a case where the snowball rolled uphill. And, you know, that'd be like the city manager. Is the city manager here next? Is he next to be relieved of his job? Because technically the city manager oversees the police department. So how far do you want to roll this snowball uphill?
And the city has appointed an interim chief until this all gets sorted out. Captain Jason Caccini will now take over the top spot. In the meantime, Coel will face a disciplinary hearing next week with city leaders. Live in Punta Gorda, I'm Nicole Valdez. Wink News now.
All right, Nicole, thank you very much.
Well, I guess how soon do you like that? No, it's like, yeah. What do you want? Well, I think you already know how to do it. There you go. Yeah, I don't know.
Michael. Ready? Ready? Hi, I'm Howard Kunick, City Manager for the City of Punta Gorda. Thank you all for coming. I'm here to provide a status update as it relates to the incident where we tragically lost Mary Knowlton. We continue to grieve her loss and support her family wherever possible, however possible. So here's what we know. As you're aware, the State Attorney's Office has charged Officer Lee Coel with first-degree manslaughter. This decision was reached after an investigation by the State Attorney's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. Today, we delivered a notice of a pre-disciplinary hearing, which will be handled by the city's Human Resources Manager and Labor Attorney. The purpose of this hearing is to determine his future employment status with the department. Officer Coel has the right to appeal any outcome to the city manager. And as such, I cannot comment further to protect the integrity of this process. We were also notified yesterday that Chief Tom Lewis has been charged with culpable negligence, a second degree. In light of this development, pending further review, in the interim, Captain Jason Caccini will assume the role of acting Chief of Police while we sort this out. It is important to note that at this time, the City Manager's Office has not received any of the investigative files from the State Attorney's Office or FDLE. We cannot make any determination about Chief Lewis's future status without first reviewing this information. We will launch a full internal affairs investigation into the entire situation once we receive the investigative files. Now on a personal note. I know our police department is a high-quality police department. I know this because of the constant positive feedback we receive from our community members, from the weekly quality assurance reviews we conduct with the public, and from the department's commitment to professional standards and accreditation. I am confident that the vast majority of our community members feel the same way. I also know Tom Lewis is a fine man. I know he is committed to excellence in his profession and has the best interest of the community at heart. If you believe otherwise, you just don't know him. Let me repeat that. If you believe otherwise, you just don't know him. That is the full extent of what we know at this point. We can entertain a few questions, but if we cannot answer because of the pending charges or pending internal affairs investigation, we will tell you so.
Howard, was there an option to keep the chief on the job?
Yes.
And who made the decision not to?
Not to put him on administrative leave of pay? I did.
How hard would that be?
It's under the purview of the city manager. When you're dealing with employees' status, it is always a difficult decision to deal with an employee's employment status. And I know Tom personally for over the years. So, are you saying, is this difficult? I feel it's had to be done. And things like this are never easy. But if a decision has to be made, it's under my purview how to make it.
You said you were waiting for the files from the state attorney's office. Have you been in contact with them, and do you know when you're going to be receiving those?
I have been in contact with them. They have been in contact with us. I do not know when we will receive them.
Did anyone ever ask the former chief, Butch Arenal, why he hired Lee Coel after Coel apparently was rejected for employment by at least 20 police departments?
I have not.
Do you know whether Tom Lewis has?
I don't know. I have not.
When will this pre-disciplinary hearing be held?
Next week.
One other question about Lee Coel. You had told me in the past that the buck stops with you.
Yes, it does.
After the dog bite incident, you hired an outside expert who came back and said that Coel acted reasonably.
Yes.
Despite that, if you look at what happened on the video, his first words were, "Stop," or on the bike, "Stop, or I'll send a dog." Do you have any second thoughts now as to whether we would have been all better off if you had fired Lee Coel after the dog incident?
Mike, let me respond this way. It's always easy for us as human beings to second guess things. We can always do that. I'm not going to second guess what happened. We, as a organization, looked at the video, and we had questions. We had legitimate questions, and that's why we brought on the independent expert who's an expert in canine. Because we, personally, I myself, members of the police department, said, you know, is that the type of service and that's the type of response we want to do in the city? Well, when it came back the way it did, I'm not going to second guess the actions we took. We took them with the best interest that we had at the time, and we changed our policy.
Chief Lewis has been a member of the department for almost 20 years now. Can you talk about what you saw in him and what the city saw to promote him to chief?
Yes. Actually, I promoted him to chief. He's an honorable man. He's known statewide. Done a lot of work for Southwest Florida Police Chiefs Association, for the Accreditation Association. He's extremely bright, extremely knowledgeable, extremely personable. He's out there in the community, meeting with different groups at events, donates his time. I don't know who else donates more time than he does to the community. And he'd be the man. And so this is a tough call.
Do you feel it's unfair for him to be charged in this incident?
I'm not going to comment on what the state attorney. We were independent of that.
One of the women outside, said obviously he was supervising training, but how far up are you going to go? And she mentioned, are you going to go as far up as the city manager, because he's the one who supervises the police chief? How do you feel about making it go all the way up the ranks like that?
As city manager, this is a council manager form of government, and the employees report to the city manager. They do not report to city council. So personnel decisions and the day-to-day operations are handled by the city manager. I, as the city manager, and the police department, we are entwined at the hip. We are a team, just like all the other departments in the city. So the actions taken by our police department are something that positive, many positive, and if there's mistakes that are made, they reflect on our organization as a whole, including me. So that's all I have to say about that.
We can take one more question.
Do you have any sense of what morale is like in the police department right now?
I can give you my thoughts, yes. Actually, around 5 o'clock, I met with the police department staff, as many of them that could be there. You know, we had a nice conversation. You know, after the Mary Knowlton incident, you know, we took some hits, you know, rightly so, and they continued and will continue to provide the high level of service in this community that this community expects. That will not fall down. They are committed, and that will continue. So things will go on.
Thank you guys so much. I'll stick around in case you guys have any technical questions, but thank you, Howard. We appreciate you guys being here.
The captain who's taking over as chief?
Captain Jason Caccini.
I can spell that for you, yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me grab one more 10 and I'll come back with it. Yes, thank you. I may have miscounted, but
I got it. Yes.
Thank you. All right. Got it. I would not have a statement that needs one. Mike, I have cleanup.
Are we ready? Hi, I'm Howard Kunick, City Manager for the City of Punta Gorda. Thank you all for coming. I'm here to provide a status update as it relates to the incident where we tragically lost Mary Knowlton. We continue to grieve her loss and support her family wherever possible, however possible. So here's what we know. As you're aware, the State Attorney's Office has charged Officer Lee Coel with first-degree manslaughter. This decision was reached after an investigation by the State Attorney's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. Today, we delivered a notice of a pre-disciplinary hearing, which will be handled by the city's Human Resources Manager and Labor Attorney. The purpose of this hearing is to determine his future employment status with the department. Officer Coel has the right to appeal any outcome to the city manager. And as such, I cannot comment further to protect the integrity of this process. We were also notified yesterday that Chief Tom Lewis has been charged with culpable negligence, a second degree. In light of this development, pending further review, in the interim, Captain Jason Caccini will assume the role of acting Chief of Police while we sort this out. It is important to note that at this time, the City Manager's Office has not received any of the investigative files from the State Attorney's Office or FDLE. We cannot make any determination about Chief Lewis's future status without first reviewing this information. We will launch a full internal affairs investigation into the entire situation once we receive the investigative files. Now on a personal note. I know our police department is a high-quality police department. I know this because of the constant positive feedback we receive from our community members, from the weekly quality assurance reviews we conduct with the public, and from the department's commitment to professional standards and accreditation. I am confident that the vast majority of our community members feel the same way. I also know Tom Lewis is a fine man. I know he is committed to excellence in his profession and has the best interest of the community at heart. If you believe otherwise, you just don't know him. Let me repeat that. If you believe otherwise, you just don't know him. That is the full extent of what we know at this point. We can entertain a few questions, but if we cannot answer because of the pending charges or pending internal affairs investigation, we will tell you so.
Howard, was there an option to keep the chief on the job?
Yes.
And who made the decision not to?
Not to put him on administrative leave of pay? I did.
How hard would that be?
It's under the purview of the city manager. When you're dealing with employees' status, it is always a difficult decision to deal with an employee's employment status. And I know Tom personally for over the years. So, are you saying, is this difficult? I feel it's had to be done. And things like this are never easy. But if a decision has to be made, it's under my purview how to make it.
You said you were waiting for the files from the state attorney's office. Have you been in contact with them, and do you know when you're going to be receiving those?
I have been in contact with them. They have been in contact with us. I do not know when we will receive them.
Did anyone ever ask the former chief, Butch Arenal, why he hired Lee Coel after Coel apparently was rejected for employment by at least 20 police departments?
I have not.
Do you know whether Tom Lewis has?
I don't know. I have not.
When will this pre-disciplinary hearing be held?
Next week.
One other question about Lee Coel. You had told me in the past that the buck stops with you.
Yes, it does.
After the dog bite incident, you hired an outside expert who came back and said that Coel acted reasonably.
Yes.
Despite that, if you look at what happened on the video, his first words were, "Stop," or on the bike, "Stop, or I'll send a dog." Do you have any second thoughts now as to whether we would have been all better off if you had fired Lee Coel after the dog incident?
Mike, let me respond this way. It's always easy for us as human beings to second guess things. We can always do that. I'm not going to second guess what happened. We, as a organization, looked at the video, and we had questions. We had legitimate questions, and that's why we brought on the independent expert who's an expert in canine. Because we, personally, I myself, members of the police department, said, you know, is that the type of service and that's the type of response we want to do in the city? Well, when it came back the way it did, I'm not going to second guess the actions we took. We took them with the best interest that we had at the time, and we changed our policy.
Chief Lewis has been a member of the department for almost 20 years now. Can you talk about what you saw in him and what the city saw to promote him to chief?
Yes. Actually, I promoted him to chief. And he's an honorable man. He's known statewide, done a lot of work for Southwest Florida Police Chiefs Association, for the Accreditation Association. He's extremely bright, extremely knowledgeable, extremely personable. He's out there in the community, meeting with different groups at events, donates his time. I don't know who else donates more time than he does to the community. And he'd be the man. And so this is a tough call.
Do you feel it's unfair for him to be charged in this incident?
I'm not going to comment on what the state attorney. We were independent of that.
One of the women outside, said obviously he was supervising training, but how far up are you going to go? And she mentioned, are you going to go as far up as the city manager because he's the one who supervises the police chief? How do you feel about making it go all the way up the ranks like that?
As city manager, this is a council manager form of government, and the employees report to the city manager. They do not report to city council. So personnel decisions and the day-to-day operations are handled by the city manager. I, as the city manager, and the police department, we are entwined at the hip. We are a team, just like all the other departments in the city. So the actions taken by our police department are something that positive, many positive, and if there's mistakes that are made, they reflect on our organization as a whole, including me. So that's all I have to say about that.
We can take one more question.
Do you have any sense of what morale is like in the police department right now?
I can give you my thoughts, yes. Actually, around 5 o'clock, I met with the police department staff, as many of them that could be there. We had a nice conversation. After the Mary Knowlton incident, we took some hits, rightly so, and they continued and will continue to provide the high level of service in this community that this community expects. That will not fall down. They are committed, and that will continue. So things will go on.
Thank you guys so much. I'll stick around in case you guys have any technical questions, but thank you, Howard. We appreciate you guys being here.
The captain who's taking over as chief?
Captain Jason Caccini.
I can spell that for you, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Police officers are facing charges for the shooting death of a retired librarian, Mary Knowlton. The man you see here pointing the gun during this demonstration, and his boss, the police chief.
Tonight we asked both for comment, and you can see here they ignored our reporters' questions.
The Night Beat's Bob Erzik digging deeper into Officer Lee Cole's turbulent past.
But let's start our team coverage tonight with the Night Beat's Kim Powell, who was there when the shooting happened back in August.
She's live in Punta Gorda now at the police department with new developments.
Well, this is an emotionally charged case for the people of Punta Gorda. Many of the people we spoke to today were stunned by the charges, but just about everyone agrees that this was a freak accident that had a tragic ending. It's been 6 months since 73-year-old Mary Knowlton, a beloved librarian, participated in a Citizens Police Academy alongside her husband and co-workers. It's been 6 months since she was killed in that class in a shoot-don't-shoot scenario that ended horribly.
The whole city and the Knowlton family have been through a lot.
Punta Gorda City Manager Howard Koenig found out about the charges shortly before a news conference this afternoon. Police Chief Tom Lewis is charged with a misdemeanor for negligence, and Officer Lee Cole, the man who pulled the trigger, is charged with manslaughter.
He's devastated. He was confident that no charges would be brought, and he's upset. And most importantly, he wants to send condolences as he always had, to the Knowlton family and how sorry he is that this happened.
Officer Coel turned himself in. Only Wink News was there when he posted bond.
How do you feel right now that you've been charged?
I already said he's not making any comment.
The chief also did not comment. Chief, do you have any comment?
He is probably a good officer. I hope sentence is short, but not in jail.
I don't really feel it's the police chief's fault.
Cole's attorney says Coel did not know there was a live ammunition in the gun. However, he says he and Coel know how the gun got loaded, but wouldn't elaborate. And the city manager is expected to hold a news conference tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You can count on Wink News to be there. Live on the Night Beat, I'm Kim Powell, Wink News. Now.
Kim, thank you for that. The Night Beat's Bob Berzik here picking up our team coverage now. This isn't the first time that either the chief or that officer, Officer Coel, has been in some trouble.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. The Citizens Academy shooting was one of several career incidents for Officer Lee Coel. He started his career with the Miramar Police Department, where in his rookie year, he was involved in 2 internal affairs investigations, including this one, where he yanked a man out of the back of his cruiser. After a year on probation, Coel lost his job. Then after applying to 25 agencies around Miami, Punta Gorda police finally hired him. Then a week after being counseled for insubordination, Coel saw a man riding his bicycle without a light. The man wouldn't stop, so Coel sicked his canine dog on him. The man sued the Punta Gorda Police Department, which settled with him for $70,000. Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis was also charged today with a misdemeanor. We uncovered in 2009 that while going through a divorce, Lewis ran the names of his wife's witnesses through the state computer to find out more about them. Lewis was a captain at the time, and Punta Gorda police suspended him for 2 weeks without pay. And so far, the charges against Officer Lee Coel and Police Chief Tom Lewis, are they appropriate? Well, we'll dig into that at 10:30. On the Night Beat, Bob Berzik, Wink News now.
Bob, thank you. Wink News was first to break the charges against Officer Coel and Chief Lewis today, and we aired the state attorney's announcement live on Facebook. We'll bring you tomorrow morning's press conference with the city manager live on Facebook, too.
Two Punta Gorda police officers this morning faced charges in the shooting death of retired librarian Mary Knowlton. It took place at the Citizens Police Academy 6 months ago. This morning, we expect to hear from the city manager about the charges. Wink News reporter Nicole Valdez in Punta Gorda with what we expect to happen today. Good morning.
Rob, a shocking decision not only to charge Officer Lee Coel with manslaughter, but also to hold Chief of Police Tom Lewis accountable with culpable negligence for the death of 73-year-old Mary Knowlton. She was shot 6 months ago at police headquarters during a Citizens Police Academy training exercise. Now, Knowlton volunteered to participate in a shoot-don't-shoot scenario, but Coel fired a gun with live rounds inside it. Now, at the time, Chief Lewis called it all a horrible accident, and so many in the community mourned the loss of Knowlton, a beloved community member here in the city of Punta Gorda. Now, only Wink News was there yesterday as Coel walked out of the Charlotte County Jail just hours after being charged. He refused to answer any of our questions, but his attorney tells us Coel wasn't expecting any charges.
He's devastated. He was confident that no charges would be brought, and he's upset. And most importantly, he wants to send condolences, as he's always had, to the Knowlton family and how sorry he is that this happened.
Now, the Knowlton family settled with the city of Punta Gorda in November for $2 million to keep this case out of the courts, but we are expecting to hear from City Manager Howard Koenig at 10 a.m. this morning. Count on Wink News for complete coverage. Live in Charlotte County, I'm Nicole Valdez. Wink News now.
An NBC2 News alert tonight. The Punta Gorda police officer who shot and killed a librarian during a training exercise is out of jail tonight. Officer Lee Coel is being charged with manslaughter. 73-year-old Mary Knowlton was killed back in August during a Citizens Police Academy training exercise.
Officer Coel's gun was supposed to be filled with blanks, not live ammunition. Police Chief Tom Lewis also facing misdemeanor charges for culpable negligence. NBC2's Graham Hunter is live at the police station tonight after speaking with Mary Knowlton's friends about today's stunning development. Graham?
Well, Mary Knowlton's death rocked the Punta Gorda community where she spent so much time volunteering. She was a big supporter of law enforcement. Now, 2 police officers are facing charges in her death.
She was just a perfect person.
Memories of Mary Knowlton come flooding back.
She was just quite an exceptional person.
Her neighbors like Joe Lizelle, who knew her. Knowlton's life came to an end last August while at a Citizens Police Academy at the Punta Gorda Police Department. Her husband watched as his wife was shot and killed just feet away.
And to think that he was sitting there, I mean, that's what's so... I mean, when it happened, he was in the audience.
Officer Lee Coel fired the fatal shot from a gun that was supposed to have a blank round in it.
What the hell happened? I mean, how could this happen?
During a shoot-don't-shoot scenario.
There was a breakdown of every oversight.
Now Officer Coel is facing a manslaughter charge for Knowlton's death.
He shouldn't have been hired.
The officer with a checkered past.
I have no idea why a police chief would want that man on his team.
Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis is charged with a misdemeanor for culpable negligence.
If you're the police chief, ultimately, you are responsible for everything that happens on your watch.
But Knowlton's neighbors know no amount of justice will ever bring back the woman they knew and loved.
So how does anybody ever get over that or get past that or have closure on that? Obviously, it's impossible.
The Punta Gorda city manager is hosting a press conference Thursday morning in light of these charges filed by the state attorney's office. You can count on NBC2 to be there pressing for answers on the future of Chief Lewis. Reporting live from Punta Gorda, Graham Hunter, NBC2.
Tonight with a bombshell development rocking the Punta Gorda Police Department. The police chief and one of his officers both facing charges tonight, 6 months after a librarian was gunned down during a Citizens Police Academy.
The state charging officer Lee Coel with felony manslaughter, and Chief Tom Lewis is facing a misdemeanor count of culpable negligence because the incident happened under his watch.
Investigators say that Officer Coel accidentally killed Mary Knowlton last August during some live demonstration there, and his gun was actually carrying live rounds instead of the blanks that it was supposed to be carrying that night. 4 in Your Corner's Tony Sadiku live in Charlotte County tonight. He's leading our coverage on this. Tony?
Patrick, Amy, the officer accused of shooting Mary Knowlton, arrested and charged today after a months-long investigation revealed that the officer acted with negligence. The police chief, Tom Lewis, also facing a citation. Today, I spoke with neighbors about what they think about the criminal charges.
Looking at the totality of the facts and evidence, brought our office to this decision.
State Attorney Stephen Russell announcing the completed investigation today after a Punta Gorda police officer accidentally shot and killed Mary Knowlton back in August.
The Knowlton family is dealing with a tremendous loss.
The officer Lee Coel had been on administrative leave while the state attorney conducted the investigation. Today, Coel turning himself in to police at the Charlotte County Jail, where he's facing a felony charge for manslaughter with a firearm. It's a charge that can carry up to a 30-year sentence.
That officer, no business being an officer, in my opinion.
Former neighbors of Knowlton tell me today this is the closure they've been waiting 6 months for.
I think it's good news. There's no excuse for having a loaded firearm in a situation like that.
Knowlton was a beloved wife, mother, and well-known in her community, often volunteering at the local library.
This is a somewhat unique, difficult case. Difficult for the community, difficult for those involved, difficult in some respects for a prosecutor.
The state attorney also pointing a finger at Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis. He's facing a misdemeanor culpable negligence charge in connection with Knowlton's death.
I think I could see some negligence there, absolutely.
Russell, however, wouldn't comment on how ammunition made its way inside a gun that was supposed to have a blank at the shoot-don't-shoot training simulation.
A terrible situation for the Punta Gorda Police Department to be in.
Coel has since bonded out of jail. I did reach out to city officials and the Punta Gorda Police Department to get their reaction on the completed investigation, to see if Coel has been relieved of his duties, and to get the status of Chief Lewis. They tell me they're going to be making a statement at a press conference tomorrow morning. Count on 4 in Your Corner to be there and to bring you the very latest. For now, reporting live in Punta Gorda, Tony Sadiku, Fox 4 in Your Corner.
All right, thank you.
Finally they are charged, but is IT enough?
Will they get off? It is so corrupt here that we wonder if the thick blue line of corruption will let Punta Gorda Police Lee Cole get off, and the charge against Chief Tom Lewis is a joke, not even taken to jail, and only a second-degree misdemeanor. If it were regular people, they would have been crucified already. Police chief, cop charged in death. Knowlton investigation yields manslaughter charge for Cole. Lewis faces negligence charge. By Ann Easker, staff writer. Punta Gorda. Both Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis and Officer Lee Cole have been criminally charged in the August 9, 2016, fatal shooting of Mary Knowlton. State Attorney Steve Russell announced the charges in a press conference Wednesday at the Charlotte County Justice Center. Cole pulled the trigger, killing the 73-year-old retired librarian during a public demonstration at the police department gone terribly wrong. He now faces the first-degree felony charge of manslaughter with a firearm, while Lewis has been charged with culpable negligence, a second-degree misdemeanor. Cole turned himself in Wednesday and left the Charlotte County Jail after posting a $5,000 bond. According to Russell, he is not considered a flight risk. So far, city officials have kept quiet on the announcement, and it's unclear whether Lewis will continue to serve as police chief. Russell said it's up to the city to make decisions on continued employment. Punta Gorda police officer Lee Cole is escorted out of the Charlotte County Jail on Wednesday with his attorney Jerry Berry after posting bond. He was charged with felony manslaughter in the death of Mary Knowlton. Andrew West / The News Press. City Manager Howard Kunick made no statement Wednesday, but will appear in a press conference today at 10 a.m. in the lobby of City Hall Annex. Lewis previously said he would not step down as chief after the shooting, stating that he did not want to create further instability in the police department. His misdemeanor charge did not require an arrest, but he is required to appear in court on April 5. Russell expressed his condolences to the Knowlton family and said his office met with Mary's husband, Gary Knowlton, to inform him that the case would move forward. Forrest J. Bass, Knowlton's attorney, emailed the following in response to a request for comment. On behalf of the Knowlton family, we ask for your continued respect for the family's request for privacy. We have no further comment relative to the tragic loss of Mary Knowlton or today's developments. Russell said he cannot discuss the evidence in the case yet, as it is an active criminal case. However, more information will be available in the following weeks when an investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is made public after it is shared with defense counsel. He said the investigation was a labor-intensive process, requiring review of the full investigation and additional interviews to help illustrate what happened at the scene as well as what led to this turn of events. I appreciate your patience as this case required us to review not just what happened on the day of the shooting, but also many other events that played a part in what happened the day of the incident, Russell said. The charging documents state that Cole, on or about August 9, 2016, in Charlotte County, Florida, did unlawfully, by act or culpable negligence, kill Mary Knowlton, a human being, and during the commission of said offense, did carry, display, use or attempt to use a weapon or firearm. For Lewis, the documents say he, on or about August 9, 2016, in Charlotte County, Florida, did unlawfully, through culpable negligence, expose Mary Knowlton to personal injury, by failing to implement and utilize sufficient safety protocols. Cole will be represented in court by attorney Jerry Berry, based in Naples. Berry said they were surprised and disappointed that the state attorney's office decided to go forward with the prosecution. We think the evidence will show that while Officer Cole may have been negligent, his negligence doesn't rise to the level of criminal negligence, he said. Berry would not comment on the specific details of the case except to say that Cole did not know there was live ammunition in his gun. He said he was confident if the case goes on to a jury trial, the jury will find Cole not guilty. Punta Gorda Mayor Rachel Kisling and Vice Mayor Gary Wine did not respond to email inquiries, and council members Lynn Matthews and Jaha Cummings did not return phone calls. Councilmember Nancy Prafk said, "We all still mourn the loss of Mary. At this point, I respect the process, and now it is in the hands of our city manager." Even witnesses at the scene, including Chamber of Commerce President John Wright, deferred to Koenig, who was busy in meetings all day, according to his assistant. Russell said convictions for manslaughter can end with sentences anywhere from low probation to 30 years in prison. Second-degree misdemeanors, on the other hand, extend to only 60 days in the county jail. Russell concluded by stating that both the Punta Gorda Police Department and the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office continue to serve Charlotte County citizens. While my office is endeavoring to responsibly address this difficult, somewhat unique, tragic event, Charlotte County continues to be well served by its law enforcement community. Email, easker@sun-herald.com.
Give me 1 second, that would be great.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's it. No. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you all for being here today. I'm here to announce that our review of the tragic shooting that happened at the Punta Gorda Police Department on August 9th, 2016 during a Punta Gorda Chamber of Commerce Citizens Academy has been completed. Officer Lee Coel, during a role play scenario, shot and killed citizen Mary Knowlton. I want to first again send my condolences to the family of Mary Knowlton. As we have gone through this process, we met with Mary's husband, and we've advised his counsel that we are moving forward on this case. The Knowlton family is dealing with a tremendous loss, and we wanted to make sure that they are informed. My office has thoroughly reviewed the evidence and many facts and circumstances involving this incident. This has been a very labor-intensive process and has involved a lot of investigative work. We are charging Punta Gorda Police Officer Lee Coel with 1 count of manslaughter with a firearm, which is a first-degree felony. We are also charging Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis with 1 count of culpable negligence, which is a second-degree misdemeanor. As this is an active criminal case, I cannot discuss the evidence. I can, however, tell you there is a very voluminous amount of information we reviewed. We looked at the crime scene, photographs, and videos of the incident. We went through a large volume of investigative material from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Further, many people were interviewed to help illustrate what happened at the scene, as well as what led to this turn of events. Looking at the totality of the facts and evidence brought our office to this decision. I know many of you have contacted us daily for updates. I appreciate your patience, as this case required us to review not just what happened on the day of the shooting, but also many other events that played a part in what happened the day. In other words, things in the background that may have led to the events of August 9th. As you're aware, as we move forward on this prosecution, because of Florida's open public records law, we will be able to provide a more complete picture of the vast amount of information we reviewed. I also want to thank the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for the hard work they have put in this investigation and in providing us support. To the citizens of Charlotte County, I want to say that while my office is endeavoring to responsibly address this difficult, somewhat unique and tragic event, Charlotte County continues to be well served by its law enforcement community. And I include in that regard Punta Gorda Police Department, County Sheriff's Department, and other agencies having jurisdiction here in Charlotte County. That's pretty much it. I have copies of the information, and I'll answer questions on process, but please understand I can't go into evidentiary items to any degree. Yes?
Is the FDLE report now public?
The process is such that as this case starts today, once we give out discovery to defense counsel, then it will be public for those of you who request it. In other words, the materials that generally go out to defense counsel, most of that, unless there's some specific exemption, will be made public at that time. I anticipate that will be in the next couple of weeks, not today, but in the next couple of weeks.
Why will it take so long?
Because that's the law. The law exempts and the case law interprets that our obligation in terms of public records does not start until the defense counsel gets their copy of the discovery, and that triggers the public records law.
Has the investigation been able to determine who loaded the gun?
Again, that's an evidentiary matter, and I can't go into that. The information ultimately released publicly, which really is the beauty of the public records law in Florida, allows you and others to, any citizen, to see what information is there.
Have Coel and Lewis been arrested or informed of this?
Well, let me be clear. Officer Coel has been arrested and processed, and Chief Lewis is charged with a second-degree misdemeanor. He has been served with a summons. He is not being arrested. It is a second-degree misdemeanor, and it does not require arrest or other processing. So that's the situation there.
And can you explain, what went into the? I know you said you can't go into much evidence, but what went into the decision to charge Chief Lewis in this case?
I'm not going to go into the evidence. I will read you a copy of the information. This is not the signed file, but it is a copy of the substance of the information. In terms of Chief Tom Lewis, the relevant portion is that on or about August 9th, 2016 in Charlotte County, Florida, The charge is he did unlawfully through culpable negligence expose Mary Knowlton to personal injury by failing to implement and utilize sufficient safety protocols, contrary to Florida statute. And again, that's a second-degree misdemeanor.
Is there any change in his status as chief while he's going through these charges?
Our purview does not include his status. That's up to the city of Punta Gorda.
When was Officer Cole arrested?
Today.
Has he made bail yet, or is he?
He has a CAPIUS, which is a formal name for order of the court, and my understanding has a $5,000 bond. We don't consider him a flight risk, which is the purpose of bond generally.
He was processed at the Charlotte County Jail?
Yes.
What was the response of the family to when you explained what was going to happen?
Well, we met with the family some time ago with an attorney representing them. Therefore, we informed the attorney that we would be having these charges, and then allowed that attorney to consult with the family. We had a good meeting with Ms. Knowlton's husband some time ago. We understand that he is somewhat of a private person in his family, and we're going to respect that.
In your years as state attorney, can you talk about the uniqueness of this case?
Well, as I said in my comments, I think generally we recognize this is a somewhat unique, difficult case. Difficult for the community, difficult for those involved, difficult in some respects for a prosecutor, but we have to do what's appropriate in terms of holding people accountable in that regard. So we make our decisions on the law and the facts. We don't make it based on other aspects.
What message do you think charging Officer Cole and Chief Tom Lewis, what message do you think this sends to the community that you are charging them?
Well, I can't speak on messages or what the community interprets. I can tell you that we go through what's constitutionally required due process of law. And it sometimes takes some time, sometimes frustratingly long time, not only for the public, but for us. And I hope that the public understands we did a thorough, deliberative process to assess what on the surface is a difficult and unique case, and came to the conclusion that we felt these are the appropriate charges, and then we will let the system take its course, and certainly respect the rights of all parties involved.
Was Officer Cole relieved of his duties?
I cannot speak for what the city of Punta Gorda.
That doesn't come automatically with the arrest?
It's not within our purview. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement has oversight over certification of law enforcement officers. The employer has oversight of their employees. All we are doing is as a public prosecutor what we feel is appropriate.
How many hours do you think your team put in on this case?
I don't know. I can just tell you over the last several months I've had many hour meetings and follow-up investigation, clarification, additional interviews, research, just a whole myriad of aspects. And again, I emphasize, not just as to the incident of August 9th, but the background and other events and incidents that might bear on that.
For those that may understand the difference in charges, why the manslaughter charge as opposed to a different kind?
In reviewing the totality of the evidence and information, we have to make a decision as to what applies to any individual. It doesn't mean that the circumstances as to one individual will necessarily be the same as to another individual. There are different facts to each.
As you did with Chief Lewis's charge, would you mind reading aloud the charge for Officer Cole?
Yes. Lee Cole being charged with manslaughter with a firearm, first-degree felony, and the relevant portion in terms of the charge is that allegedly on or about August 9th, 2016 in Charlotte County, Florida, that he did unlawfully by act or culpable negligence kill Mary Knowlton, a human being, and during the commission of said offense to carry, display, use, or attempt to use a weapon or firearm.
Do you know who the arresting agency was?
arresting agency was at the jail. He turned himself in, Mr. Coel, with counsel. Counsel was advised, and counsel has been very cooperative in processing him. And the summons was served on Chief Lewis.
Do you know who his attorney is?
Jerry Berry, and based primarily in Collier County.
And he turned himself into the Charlotte jail?
Yeah.
What are the possible sentences for these charges?
Well, the sentences from, this is general, for manslaughter is from a low probation to a high of 30 years in the state prison and a $10,000 fine. That's the maximum. I'm not trying to imply what the sentence would be should someone be convicted. Depends. For the second-degree misdemeanor, the lower level would be basically anything from, nothing reprimand to 60 days in the county jail or a $500 fine. It's the lower level misdemeanor.
Will Coel make first appearance tomorrow?
I anticipate that Mr. Coel is bonded out. There would be no first appearance. There's a capious, which the judge puts a bond on, and the process would then go to basically to an arraignment date.
Do you know what the bond amount was?
$5,000. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll meet you.
All new on Wink News at 6.
The chief has been doing a PR campaign about, I'm open, I'm honest, anything you want to talk about. Well, he doesn't want to talk about these other incidents. He didn't release these other incidents until you had to go digging through like a madman to find them.
Wink News pushes to get memos from the Punta Gorda Police Department about Lee Coel, the cop who shot 73-year-old Mary Knowlton during a shoot, don't shoot citizens demonstration back in August. These are memos that have never been made public before.
And tonight we'll tell you about the memo from an officer who trains other cops witnessing Lee Coel making what she basically calls a wrongful arrest. Wink News investigative reporter Dave Colbreth has the exclusive.
This sort of stuff should be unacceptable in any law enforcement agency.
He was a one-man wrecking crew in Punta Gorda, and nobody tried to stop him.
Is he fabricating things? Is he making things up just to make the arrest?
3 longtime Charlotte County attorneys, all who have also been prosecutors in their career, read this memo about an arrest made by Lee Coel, which the Punta Gorda police never released until Wink News spent a great deal of effort and hundreds of dollars.
Just shows that the Punta Gorda Police Department was hiding this stuff. Every news agency in the country was asking for these type of documents.
The memo really hit home for Steve Leskovich because it was about his client, Jacob Hill.
You always hear about corruption, but then to actually read it and know that it happens to someone you know is actually quite disheartening.
On June 23, 2015, Officer Bonnie Buckaloo sent this memo to the Punta Gorda police administrators.
They knew roughly 8 hours after this arrest.
Buckaloo, along with another officer, came upon Lee Coel, who had pulled Hill over for driving the wrong way on this one-way street. First, Coel had his dog sniff around the vehicle for drugs, but it did not detect any. After that, Coel said that he was changing hats and now going to try for a DUI.
He's fishing for something.
Buckaloo also wrote that Coel did not ask any of the related DUI questions and that she did not observe anything that would indicate an impaired driver.
Falling over, stumbling, no odor of alcohol, no bloodshot, watery eyes. None of that information is written anywhere in any of the reports.
Buckaloo summed it up by writing that Coel performed the requested sobriety exercises without any notable concerns, and that he probably should not have been placed under arrest.
It's shocking to read an officer's report that says another officer was seeking or finding a reason to make an arrest. Why is he even arrested?
Apparently, that's also what people in the state attorney's office wondered, because Wink News obtained these documents from them, where a prosecutor writes, I do not see how there was enough for a DUI arrest, and if that's out, then there's no probable cause to search.
I would bet $1,000 the state attorney had no idea that there was another officer on scene who believes that this was a false arrest.
So, the state attorney's office started playing let's make a deal and said it would drop 5 of the 7 charges, including 2 felonies and the DUI.
DUI getting dropped almost never. I mean, it is a very, very rare circumstance.
I can count on one hand how many times a DUI has been dismissed prior to charges being filed. This is one of them.
When the state attorney's office offered to drop most of the charges, Jacob Hill pled to minor possession of weed and got out of jail immediately.
He pled to those because he was in jail for 35 days and he needed to get out. Who's not going to take that?
Wink News talked to Jacob Hill, who lost his driver's license for a whole year, his apartment, and his job.
And now when he's looking for employment, what shows up on his background? A DUI. Who the heck's going to hire somebody with that kind of record?
So, what did the Punta Gorda police do about this memo? It said it was successfully prosecuted with the means of a plea.
And I have to tell you this. Any department that defines this as a successful prosecution, they should all resign.
Without asking, the Punta Gorda police also gave us emails saying things like, Buckaloo seems to have an obvious dislike for Lee Cole, stating to other officers that she refuses to acknowledge him or back him up on traffic stops.
She's one of their current own. She's part of the blue line. You don't cross it. She crossed it.
Would you have taken that plea had you known about this email, this memo?
Absolutely not.
When I talked with Jacob Hill, he said he came down here because he's a roofer and needed to work year-round. Well, after all this, he said no one would hire him, so he had to go back to northern Minnesota, and he said, try making a living there doing roofing in the winter. When we asked the Punta Gorda police for an interview, we were told the chief will not be providing an interview on the memo you referenced, continuing the public discussion of Officer Cole's work product prior to the conclusion of both FDLE's investigation and our own internal investigation is unfair and possibly improper on our end. That memo, as well as last night's story regarding those other memos, are on our website at winknews.com. Dave Culbreth, Wink News Now.
I think that that was a sign of just arrogance. I mean, you don't need to double and triple check yourself. You don't need to have other people double and triple check you. You don't have to have a procedure in place. You don't have to make sure. Like, all of those things just make me sick to my stomach.
On August 9th, 36 people watched as a Punta Gorda police officer shot and killed a woman during a Citizens Academy demonstration. Officer Lee Cole's still on paid administrative leave after the death of 73-year-old Mary Knowlton. But could it have been prevented?
Tonight, only Wink News has memos that were not in Cole's personnel file. After weeks of requests and hundreds of dollars spent, Punta Gorda police finally gave us those memos with allegations of bad arrests, insubordination, and policy violation. Wink News investigative reporter Dave Culbreth has the details.
Nobody should be running around this town with a gun and a badge with these type of allegations against them.
No self-respecting law enforcement agency that I've ever encountered should be tolerating this kind of behavior.
Those are 2 longtime Charlotte County attorneys. Both of them were shocked when I showed them these memos obtained by Wink News after the Punta Gorda police fought hard to prevent us from getting them.
Just shows that the Punta Gorda Police Department was hiding this stuff. Every news agency in the country was asking for these type of documents.
These new memos show Lee Cole's problems with the Punta Gorda police. But Cole's problems started in his rookie year with the Miramar police, where he was involved in 2 internal affairs investigations. This one, where he yanked a man out of the back of his cruiser. After just 1 year, Cole was forced to resign. He then applied for jobs at over 24 police agencies near Miami. Wink News obtained Cole's application files from most of them, who turned him down. So he then redirected his efforts to Southwest Florida, where the only agency interested in him was Punta Gorda. It was a year after he left Miramar when Cole was hired by Punta Gorda.
Miramar got it right. The other 25 police departments that refused to hire him got it right. Punta Gorda got it wrong.
Cole's personnel file with the Punta Gorda police shows many positive things he's done. But then there's these newly obtained memos that were not in his personnel file.
When you hire somebody that was asked to resign from a different police force, they should be on thin ice.
The first incident Wink News discovered is depicted in this memo. It was February 4th, 2015, when Coel accidentally discharged his taser at home. He was never disciplined.
To have an officer not check his taser before he does a spark test, that is Barney Fife stuff.
On October 23, 2015, a supervisor, Thomas Keegan, wrote this memo saying Coel was insubordinate to him and questioned his authority.
I think that him being insubordinate to his lieutenant seems to kind of go along with all of the other misconduct that he's alleged to have engaged in, because, you know, each one of those is kind of him being arrogant.
Then exactly 1 week later, Coel saw a man riding his bicycle at night without a light. The man wouldn't stop, so Coel sicked his dog on him. But Wink News has now learned from this email that there was what was called a community initiative in place, where officers were supposed to give warnings and free bicycle lights to people instead of arresting them. The Punta Gorda police ultimately settled with the man for $60,000, and over $120,000 worth of medical bills were written off by a hospital. The Punta Gorda police also hired an expert who determined that Coel did not do anything wrong.
I don't care what they say, you know, him allowing that dog to rip the chest wall out of a man who was driving without lights on a bicycle, that's insanity.
The dog bite issue got attention around the world, and Coel said he was receiving death threats. So he improperly accessed the state computer system to remove his name from public records. He got a slap on the wrist from Chief Tom Lewis, who, ironically, illegally accessed the same system himself 5 years earlier and got suspended.
As an attorney, I mean, the Florida bar would be smacking me around something fierce, because you can't just engage in constant misconduct. He's got 5 or 6 incidents of serious misconduct. He's still a cop.
We asked Punta Gorda police officials for an interview about this story, and we were told, quote, "The chief will not be providing an interview on the memos you referenced. Continuing the public discussion of Officer Coel's work product prior to the conclusion of both FDLE's investigation and our own internal investigation is unfair and possibly improper on our end." Now, after all of that, that's not the most egregious things these attorneys say Lee Coel has done. That involved a wrongful arrest. We'll have that tomorrow night in part 2 of this story. Dave Culbreth, Wink News Now.
drugs and stuff like the German jails, they would have, we got I'm a Canadian originally, we got 7 times more.
Will you do me a favor?
What's that?
If you want to record me, I have no problem with that.
Right.
But this is not a public building.
Last time we were here, we already discussed it. They said we could.
But there are other people here that may not know that you're recording them.
Okay, last time I was here, I asked if I could record, they said yes.
I have no problem with it.
Right.
I believe the facility is probably in the same mindset as they
Yep.
were last time. But just out of common courtesy, let people know they're being recorded, please.
You're being recorded.
Well, wait, everybody's here.
You have to let them know too.
Everybody too.
Are you running? He doesn't answer questions, I'm sorry.
Don't answer questions?
No.
You just did.
You did.
If you have any questions for me, you can talk to my attorney, Kevin Shirley.
I gotta meet
I
Kevin,
know
man.
Kevin, too. He sold
He's
in my
popular,
house.
man. He is popular.
No, but he was the lawyer for the guy that sold when I bought my house 18 years ago.
Mom, stay here next to you, buddy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyhow, should be interesting. Good. You're from Punta Gorda?
Oh, did you meet him yet?
So am I.
Now, tell me you were Canadian.
This is John Surcan. This is Ian. This is the guy that's doing all the filming, going for public records requests and stuff.
Oh.
They like him. They like him so much they trespassed him.
They do. I'm very popular.
What was the latest video on that? Looking for a trespasser. Jim Mello.
Oh, Jim Mello was trespassed from some real estate office for causing a disturbance in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And,
But the only record you got was 2015. Is that the one?
yeah.
Oh.
But they were giving the other guy like a hard time about getting the record, so, you know, I had to go down there and straighten those things out with him.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom. And by the way, we tried to get L.A. Daniels and the black people to come today. I'm totally serious. Totally serious. I said let's meet here and have a conversation.
It's a shame.
It is. So.
The meeting's canceled. Maybe next month. It's gonna be same time, same place.
The meeting's canceled?
Yes, sir.
Why?
We're the community.
Feedback from the Trade Woods community.
We can't be part of it.
You're not members of the Trade Woods community, no.
Oh my God, that's a good point.
You got your number. You just told me it's a meeting to discuss in the community, and now it's canceled.
Yeah.
Wow.
But seriously, I really appreciate you gentlemen.
No, but you told me a few minutes ago it's here to discuss a community discussion meeting, and now it's canceled.
Meeting's canceled, yes, sir.
Because I thought it was a community discussion meeting. That's what you told me a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we're members of the community. We like to be heard.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming.
When will Cole face justice? Will Officer Cole ever face justice, Mr. Lewis?
That's a great point. Ask again.
Will Officer Cole ever face justice, Chief Lewis?
What about Officer? What about Tom Lewis? Oh, so what do you want to do? Go for coffee? Let's not waste the time. I'm shocked too, man.
He just told me
that you're going to have a meeting, right?
And I says, what is it about? And he says, it's just a community to discuss things in the community.
Right, he wasn't specific on which community, though.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He just said community.
Exactly.
I says, what is it, about? And I says, well, that's great. That's what we should have.
It ain't worth it.
Okay.
Once they've got their mind made up.
All right, so what do you want to do? Let's not waste this. You want to do coffee somewhere or what?
Sure.
Harry, where's the closest place for coffee?
We could have just used this community center. We don't have to have anybody here.
I can't.
That's what I can't figure out. This is a public place.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you don't even need any kind of permission to
Right.
I don't understand that.
He's supposedly saying I do have the right to film, but I'm supposed to let everybody know.
I don't believe that's true in Florida.
God we trust part. Like to find out what God they're talking about.
That is true.
What kind of trust is that?
So Ian, let's not waste it. Let's do coffee somewhere. Wait. All right, so John, you want to do coffee somewhere then? Where's the closest? Hey, I'm shocked too. Totally shocked. I'm totally shocked, man. So what do you want? You want to follow us or?
Yeah, I'll follow you.
All right, we're down here. I'm in the white convertible.
Okay, I'll follow you.
So where do you want to go for coffee? Let's not waste it.
Whatever you decide, yeah, I'm just easy to get along with, man.
He just shut the meeting down. He said we're not from the community, so he canceled it. So let's not waste it. What you want to do? Let's do coffee somewhere.
I'd give it about 2 or 3 minutes. These two just showed up for the meeting.
I know. Well, now 2 black people just showed up from the community, so are they going to have a meeting? I know, that's why he said maybe wait a minute. Oh, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah.
Are you here for the meeting? Are you here for the meeting? Hey, I think we got a meeting, man. We got another one. Yep. Your door. Okay, he still canceled it? All right, can I give you my card then? Hey, the reason why I showed up and the reason why he's freaking out, I unfortunately experienced the corruption here myself. So 3 years ago, I started Charlotte County COPWATCH. I was the guy that was in the newspaper and all 3 channels where they illegally looked me up on the David system. Not to bring me followers, but to do bad things because I'm exposing the corruption here. So that's why I think I'm shocked. He shut it down. So we need cops. You know we need cops. I know we need cops. We're trying to show people that we're here. You can hold them accountable. You can do different things. You know what I mean? Is it all right if I give you my business card? All right. So in 3 years, by the grace of God, I'm a Christian. The YouTube channel went nuts. 40 million views. 38,000 subscribers. In fact, I'll even give you my regular card. So I'm sorry that he did this. We seriously are here. We need police, but we were just here to let you guys know that we're here. If you ever have, if you ever need any help, investigating anything, or if you need a story put out, because internal investigations won't do anything. We were the ones that helped break the dog mall story. We're also the ones that did in Collier County. 7 sheriffs beat the crap out of a white guy. He was in the hospital for 3 days. We broke that story. So we really are trying. Okay. We're trying to help. And sorry that it shut. We are shocked that he just killed it like this.
Okay.
So what was your name?
Reverend Brown. Reverend Howard.
Please get a hold of me, man. Do you guys got a card? I'm shocked. I really, really am. This guy right here, John Surcan, he helps the homeless over in Charlotte County. So he's going to let you guys know that he's here too. So he helps people there. In fact, you know what's crazy? He's the one that's the guy that supposedly got away from the sheriff at the water and hung himself. That's his landlord. He knows the guy. This wouldn't have happened. Like the guy said, he knew the guy. He didn't hang himself. You know what I mean? 65? So, anyways, I'm sorry that it bombed out. All right. Oh, are we filming? Yes, he was supposed to be. That's what I told him.
So why don't you want to give it up? Ellie Daniels.
Do you not value our opinion?
All right.
Is Officer Cole ever going to face justice, Mr. Lewis?
Why, who are you with? Just a regular person? That's fine. I don't answer questions.
I'm a regular person. Hey, Andrew, I wanted you to meet David. This is Vic's friend.
Okay.
Andrew. Who are you, a regular
Andy?
person? COPWATCH?
No, I actually I'm
not a regular person?
Careful! Careful! Hey, let's not waste this. Let's do coffee. What's the closest thing to here for coffee? Here's my card. Because Sir Can's here and everything. You didn't even get to meet him. He helps the homeless in Fort Charlotte.
Oh, okay. How you doing? Hi. Hi. Yeah.
Okay, where's the closest place for coffee?
See you later, man. It was a short meeting. Sorry, I didn't get more time.
I'm not sure. Let's go over here and we'll all talk.
All right, John, we're gonna discuss over here what we're gonna do. But be careful for those bike racks. You almost got it.